Tonight, Caribana canceled.
To see Caribana Ignite become the icon that it could be in Kitchener, it requires support.
Pulling the plug 10 days ahead of the event.
We're disappointed that the festival is not moving forward for 2026.
What it means for the festival's future. Also, a slithery surprise.
We have a common boa constrictor, also called a BCI.
A rare rescue on a rural road.
We see a lot of stray dogs and cats and rabbits, but it's fairly unusual to find a snake of this size loose in Wellington County.
The search for the snake's owner. And marking a major milestone.
Some of our recipes date back, like our Caesar dressing, from the inception of charcoal.
The Kitchener restaurant celebrating 70 years.
People are coming here not obviously for the quality of food, but they're coming here for the overall experience.
How the charcoal steakhouse continues to serve up success.
Good evening. We begin with the plug being pulled suddenly on a local Caribbean festival. Just 10 days before the festivities were set to begin, the City of Kitchener and Caribana Arts Group announced Caribana Ignite has been canceled this year. What would have been the third installment for the cultural festival, taking over Kitchener's downtown core. For more, we're joined live by CTV's Karis Mapp. Karis, you spoke with Caribana organizers earlier today. What did they have to say?
Leanne, Caribana Arts Group saying a recent change in their leadership and lack of organization and planning are the main reasons the event won't run again this year. But the group is hopeful this isn't the end of Carnival in Kitchener. King Street will be much quieter this year compared to last year's celebrations in August. Caribana Ignite first taking over Kitchener's downtown core in 2024, marking the largest North American Carnival celebration outside Toronto.
We saw roughly 5,000 people each year come out. Really, it brought people together. It allowed us to celebrate our diversity.
But this year's event seeing an unexpected cancellation.
We have to make a determination whether it is prudent to go ahead with the festival, that we don't necessarily have everything together in terms of the planning, the organization, and all of those things.
Only 10 days before the kickoff party was set to happen at City Hall, organizers say a sudden change in leadership was a major factor in the decision.
We would have loved to have made the decision earlier because, of course, that bodes better for the people in the community. And we apologize for that. That's unfortunate.
The City of Kitchener echoing the organizing group.
We do recognize that this is something that, has been very carefully considered, and it's not a decision that anybody makes lightly.
Those involved calling this year a pause with plans to return in 2027.
It will be the 60th anniversary of the very first Caribana that was held in Toronto in 1967. We see a lot more opportunities.
We're disappointed that the festival is not moving forward for 2026, but we support and respect Caribana Arts Group's decision to pause, take a step back, and do a little bit more planning to ensure a really great experience for people next time.
Not a position they wanted to be in, but a decision organizers are confident in.
We don't want to also create a standard that is lower than what we feel the people deserve, right? So I think we're making the right call.
The cancellation includes all aspects of this festival, including Friday night's planned glow party and the Grand Street Parade planned for Saturday morning. Leanne.
Yeah, I know a lot of people disappointed about that, Karis. Thanks for that, CTV's Karis Mapp. Well, it was certainly another beautiful day out there in Waterloo region. Let's head over to Krista Sharpe-Kilpatrick now with a look at the full forecast, or a preview of it, Krista.
A preview of it, yes. Mother Nature was doing a great job today. Lots of sunshine. Our barometer on the higher side at 101.3. That's why we're seeing those sunny skies with lots of bright, warm sunshine. And it's 25 degrees right now. We hit a high of 26 at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're now slowly starting to cool down. Of course, it's an August cool down, so we're not going too cool. Our winds right now are coming from the west at 15 kilometers per hour. hour. It's currently 24 in Barrie, 26 in Peterborough, 26 in London as well, and 24 in the extreme southwest corner of the province in Windsor. Now, we do have dry skies this evening. Beautiful night, but tomorrow there is some precipitation moving our way. We'll talk about that, Leanne, coming up later in the show.
Okay, Krista, sounds good. Thanks. One of two men charged in a string of arsons in Norfolk and Haldimand counties has pleaded guilty and been sentenced to house arrest. CTV's Krista Simpson joins us with those details. Krista.
Leanne, the judge told court the penalty for arson can be as high as 14 years in prison. But in this case, a number of factors led him to hand Chad Reimer a sentence that doesn't involve any time behind bars.
Between November 2024 and January 2025, firefighters were called to a series of suspicious fires in Norfolk County. Flames tore through 11 structures. No one was inside and no one was hurt. But as Justice Gethin Edwards said, there were 11 separate instances of arson. And it goes without saying that the community in Norfolk was justifiably concerned about an arsonist on the loose. Chad Reimer was one of two people arrested at the scene of a suspicious fire in Haldimand County in January 2025 and charged with 11 counts of arson involving property damage. In April, Reimer pleaded guilty to 2 counts of arson and 1 count of operating a vehicle while over the legal limit. Justice Edward noted that Reimer was the driver in these incidents, using his red pickup truck. Edward telling court he, being Mr. Reimer, did not start the fires, but still clearly was a party to the offense and as such just as culpable. Edward noted that someone found guilty of arson can face up to 14 years in prison. But in this case, he handed Reimer a conditional sentence or house arrest of 2 years less a day, noting that Reimer has significant cognitive impairments that jails and prisons aren't equipped to address. But his mother can advocate for him and handle his challenges, and he's already been on bail conditions that are similar for 19 months. The judge noting Reimer also has support in his community of Port Rowan.
Driving prohibition, and the judge ordered his 2010 red pickup truck be forfeited for destruction or sale. Now, as noted, Reimer was one of 2 men charged in these incidents. His co-accused, Matthew Smith, is due in court on August 17th. Leanne.
Okay, Krista, thank you. A new report from an anti-fraud group suggests vehicle thefts are down across the country. The report says in the first half of this year, the number of auto thefts have dropped 10%. CTV's John Musselman has those details.
Despite the improving numbers, experts suggest a vehicle is stolen in this country every 10 minutes.
I keep hearing more and more occurrences, so I feel like it's getting more prevalent.
It may seem like it, but new numbers tell a different story. A report from a non-profit anti-fraud group says vehicle thefts are down. Here's a look at the numbers. Auto thefts in Canada, 10% lower than 2025. In the first half of 2025, 23,000 vehicles were stolen. In the first half of 2026, that's down to 20,759.
Even though we're seeing a decline, we still have a lot of vehicles being stolen. Interpol still calls us a stolen vehicle nation, where vehicles are being stolen and exported to other nations.
Still, the drop in auto thefts is a result of several factors, including governments at all levels working together with law enforcement and greater public awareness about the risks.
Yeah, it is. It's concern. I got a device in here that helps me. The camera front and back.
I'm very diligent about putting my car in the garage or making sure I lock the car. But other than that, I don't know what else you can do.
My view, it has decreased a bit in this area at least.
Experts say a drop in thefts is a good sign, but luxury vehicles are still being targeted and the GTA remains a problem.
High population of Ontario, the high number of targeted vehicles that the organized crime groups really want, and their proximity to the Port of Montreal and the eastern ports.
But experts say tightening at the ports has shifted the stolen vehicles towards traditional chop shops. Parts are packaged and sold domestically and internationally. John Musselman, CTV News.
The cost of Toronto's newest subway line has gone off the rails, now projected to be more than triple what was originally planned. The Ontario line is still years from completion, but instead of costing around $10 billion, it'll now cost Ontario taxpayers more than $30, and that number could rise. CTV's John Woodward has the details.
Construction of the 15.6-kilometre Ontario line sprawls over Flemington Park and goes deep into multi-story holes where new stations will be. An ambitious project that includes a new bridge and 15 stations from Exhibition Place to the former Science Centre site at Don Mills Road.
We're making historic investments in public transit to fight gridlock, to cut travel times, and to keep our economy moving.
Also historic in that the Ontario line has pushed past a dubious milestone, now more than 3 times what it was originally supposed to cost, Metrolink CEO Michael Lindsay confirmed Tuesday morning.
When the Ontario line began as a project, we lived in a different world in respect of major capital project delivery, which I think you would agree. We've experienced one of the worst supply chain shocks in the last several decades.
It was once called the Downtown Relief Line and existed for decades only on paper, until a surprise announcement in 2019 when the Ontario line was unveiled as part of a suite of transit projects.
We're going to get it right, we're going to get it moving, and we're going to do it faster, better, cheaper.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford said the cost of that line would be $11 billion and referenced his late brother Rob, the former Toronto mayor who pushed
Subway, 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 subway. And this one is for you, Rob.
From the original cost of $11 billion then, it steadily climbed to $29.8 billion in June. Then a $4.32 billion contract was awarded to build a set of twin tunnels and 2 underground stations, bringing the total now to $34.12 billion. Opposition MPPs amazed.
We have the Ontario line, right, which is tripled, almost quadrupled. It's incredible.
The NDP saying fault may lie with the public-private partnership structure.
Money is going into a lot of private companies instead of into public services. And Metrolinx, frankly, and the government need to provide some answers and accountability here.
None of them questioning that a city the size of Toronto needs the line to move people and get them out of cars. But they are questioning the cost to, as Ford would say, get it done.
And that was CTV's John Woodward reporting. The Guelph Humane Society rescues all types of animals, typically on 4 legs, but sometimes they slither and have no legs. This weekend, a 5-foot-long boa constrictor was found in Arthur. Now, Humane Society staff are trying to find its owner or prepare the snake to be adopted into a new home. CTV's Jeff Pickle reports.
At the Guelph Humane Society, they of course have dogs and cats, and now a 5-foot boa constrictor.
We have a common boa constrictor, also called a BCI, probably the most common boa constrictor that people keep as pets in Canada.
The snake was found in Arthur on the road Saturday night and turned in by a brave resident.
So a community member had actually very kindly contained the snake prior to calling us, so they were able to safely transport the snake in a large plastic container.
The Humane Society says snakes are rare, and a snake of this size even more unique.
We see a lot of stray dogs and cats and rabbits, but it's fairly unusual to find a snake of this size loose in Wellington County.
Despite its size, experts say a snake like this is not considered dangerous.
Pretty harmless. They're, I think, about 10 pounds. We have them at 5 kilos or so. I wouldn't leave a baby around the snake unattended. I wouldn't leave like a very small dog or a cat. Even then, I think the dog or cat would probably come out on top.
A unique pet, Dr. Brown says snakes are escape artists, but are also often abandoned by their owners.
We worry about them, like owners not realizing how big they are or not having a plan for when they get bigger and then either letting them go or trying to put them on Kijiji or something like that. So that can be an issue.
Dr. Brown says anyone who adopts an animal like this needs a lot of space and time.
They live a long time. Like these guys, at least 40 years we would expect. I've seen them personally at 40 years old, and that's a tough commitment. A lot of people get them when they're younger, and you don't know what your life will look like 40 years later.
The Guelph Humane Society say they are hopeful to get in contact with the snake's owner or will be placed up for adoption.
So in the event that the snake is unclaimed, we will look for a new home for it. Now, not every municipality allows for snakes in their animal control bylaws, so we do encourage everybody to check with their local municipality before applying to adopt snakes.
Anyone with information or interest can contact the Guelph Humane Society. Jeff Pickle, CTV News, Guelph.
Enhancing safety and security. Still ahead on CTV News. The new system installed in Brantford's downtown core, and the goal to help people reach emergency services faster. Alexandra Hollick brings us that story next.
I'm Heather Sannerin. A living room in Waterloo catches on fire more than a dozen times, but it's a controlled burn by the University of Waterloo. Find out what they hope to learn from these experiments just ahead.
We'll see some moisture pushed into southern Ontario tomorrow and some warmer temperatures as well. Your full forecast is coming up.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvkitchener.ca, your home for news.
The city of Brantford has installed new Code Blue emergency phones in a busy downtown hub. The goal is to enhance security measures by offering a quick and easy way to contact first responders in an emergency. CTV's Alexandra Hollick explains.
As her young sons dash through the splash pad in downtown Brantford, Samantha House keeps a watchful eye.
We do have to be very careful. I have to get the kids to walk right beside me, hold my hand.
The trio treks to the city centre for a handful of community events. For House, her family's safety stays top of mind.
We have seen people leaning over, and I've had to explain to them not to touch anything, not to make fun of them, not to point at them.
Harmony Square sees people from all walks of life at all hours of the day.
Downtowns are areas where homeless people tend to congregate. They're also areas where there are large groups of people, and whenever you have a large group of people, there's a potential for emergencies.
Whether it's a medical episode or a rattled sense of security, the city has installed 2 new devices, just in case there's a Code Blue.
These stations are used to assist people who may be in an emergency situation, who may not have access to a cell phone or any other phone that may be readily available to them.
A touch of a button puts users in touch with a 911 dispatcher.
And this does have two-way communication with the 911 dispatcher directly.
The city says the phones were installed about a month ago and have already been used. Their addition won't subtract from security measures already in place.
This will not replace any current measure we have in place, including the security services or police walking around the area.
The executive director of Brantford's largest homeless shelter says the new stations help everyone.
Very often people don't know what to do, don't know who to turn to. And if there's something here that's got a specific purpose to it that will allow people to reach emergency services quickly and safely, then I think that's a great idea.
House thinks so too.
I think that's great to have access to that.
The city says it'll be using these new phones here in Harmony Square as a pilot project, and if they're successful, visitors and residents could soon see more Code Blues in and around the downtown core. Alexandra Hollick, CTV News, Brantford.
The Region of Waterloo's Director of Transit Services says they're working on ways to improve snow clearing at bus stops in the future, saying the problems that cropped up last winter can't be repeated.
In short, Council, we can't run it back like we did last year. It was a significant impact on riders. We don't want people climbing over snowbanks, and we've got to do a better job.
Doug Spooner says regional staff are now preparing a revised winter maintenance tender for the upcoming season. And they're looking at ways to include incentives for quick or priority clearance as well as penalties. And while right now bus stops have to be cleared 48 hours after a snowfall, they're also going to ask for a quote on what it would cost to get the job done in 24 hours. Regional councillors also approved a motion to explore ways to improve the reporting system when a bus stop isn't cleared. In other updates, Council heard Grand River Transit ridership is down by nearly 1 million or 9.6% compared to the same time last year. A change largely blamed on fewer international students and also more people working from home. Regional councillors also approved a motion asking that staff put together a report looking at the potential impact of data centers in Waterloo Region.
There are already data centers in our region, and so it's really, really critical in my opinion, that we begin to talk about this already and that we set the standard before we have the potential for more data centers.
Many of us woke up one morning and AI was here. And it sort of feels like, in some respects, the horse has got out of the barn and is running pretty fast, and we're trying to catch up to this.
A top-level report on the issue looking at the environmental and economic impact is expected to be completed early next year. The way modern homes are built and furnished has changed drastically over the last few decades. So has the way they burn. Now, researchers at the University of Waterloo are using artificial intelligence to predict fire behavior in real time. CTV's Heather Senerin joins us now with more on this. Heather, this is paving the way for smart evacuation systems.
That's the goal, Leanne. It can also inform building codes and help emergency responders have a better understanding of what they're up against before they fight fires.
So this is the room where we conducted the initial burns.
Inside this two-story burn house at the University of Waterloo, researchers conducted more than a dozen controlled burn tests to see how modern furniture would react.
With many of the types of additives that we put in modern building furnishings, they may slow the growth of a fire, but it may have a trade-off, which is it could produce more smoke or it could produce more types of gases that are quite harmful for people.
Not only are the furnishings different than they were decades ago, but so are the energy-efficient rooms they're in.
Homes these days are quite airtight, which means that they don't really leak air and supply of ventilation to the fire is quite limited. What that essentially means is that the fire can reach conditions where you consume all the oxygen available to keep it burning.
These experiments generated millions of data points using up to 175 sensors set up around the rooms. To deal with the data and to analyze, researchers turned to AI.
So looking at hundreds of millions of sensor measurements simultaneously to try to uncover patterns that go across the experiments and try to reveal insights that a human simply can't divine by just staring at Excel spreadsheets.
Researchers say eventually smart evacuation systems could be in homes to help someone inside a burning building get out safely.
You might have like your smart fire sensors hooked up to your smart system in your home or your business, and it would add fire evacuation detection. These tools could potentially just plug into existing smart systems for homes and businesses and provide us this extra layer of safety.
This work won't just help build the smart systems of the future, but it could also inform building codes and designs and help those who fight the fires too.
The idea is to try and provide people that are responding to the fire, both during an active fire event, but even before and well after a fire, with the most amount of information possible so that they can improve their decision making.
The team plans to take what they've learned in these experiments and apply them to other fire safety issues, whether that's their work with burning batteries or wildfires. Leanne.
Okay, Heather, thanks for that. CTV's Heather Senerin. Live look outside this hour from the Sports World area of Kitchener, approaching that 6:30 mark, and conditions are still very calm out there this evening. Another beautiful August day in Waterloo region. Krista will tell us what's in store for the rest of the week coming up in the full forecast. Also ahead, an update on the raging wildfires in northern Ontario, the progress being made, and the province's response towards returning people home. And later, marking a major milestone, the Kitchener restaurant celebrating 70 years. How the charcoal steakhouse continues to serve up success. Krista Sharpe-Kilpatrick in the house with the full forecast tonight. Great to see you here in studio together.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'd love to say that I got to spend some time outside today to soak in this weather, because I was saying that earlier at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It is August. We have to appreciate that summer is coming to an end soon.
I know. We were looking at that snowy visual of the bus stops, and not ready for winter, that's for sure.
You don't forget, minus 25 is only a couple of months away, so get outside, enjoy this warm weather while we have it, because it's not going to last forever. It is going to last the rest of August, though, into September. We're starting to have those warm temperatures last further into September lately, which is kind of a nice treat.
Yeah, I'll take the plus 25, not the minus 25.
Yes, I completely agree. The good thing about the warmer weather going into September, though, is that we do have the cooler overnight temperatures, so you still get the temperature, or rather the leaf changes, which is the best part of fall, I would say. So let's take a look at our outside conditions right now, where we do have a little bit of cloud cover starting to move in. It was nice and warm today, a little bit of humidity, but not too bad. It's not like those long stretches we had back in July where it was a week or so of humidex conditions feeling closer to the mid-30s. Those were very extreme. We're not going to see anything like that in the next little bit, but our humidex value is starting to rise. So let's take a look right now across the United States. I just wanted to show you it's currently 41 degrees Celsius, of course, in Las Vegas, 41 in Kansas City, 28 down in Myrtle Beach. And then as we come north to Canada, some of that warm air is going to be pushing up towards us. 20 in Vancouver, 24 in Saskatoon, 28 in Winnipeg right now, 26 in Montreal, and just 16 degrees in St. John's, Newfoundland, where of course they have that nice cold breeze off of the Atlantic. Here in KW, 26 was the high we hit today. We hit that at about 3 o'clock. We're now slowly starting to cool down. Our early morning low this morning was 17 degrees. So we're not far from our par of this normal temperature for this exact day. Taking a look at our futurecast, though, we're going to stay dry this evening as we go down to that low of about 14, but we do have some precipitation moving in tomorrow. KW, you will see that around 6, 7 a.m. It will start off fairly light, and then through the afternoon hours, that rain will pick up anywhere from about Muskoka area down to Windsor. We're all looking at a risk of thunderstorms through the afternoon. In KW, if we do not see those thunderstorms come up, we will likely only see about 10-15 millimeters of rain throughout the day. But of course, if thunderstorms do develop, heavy downpours and heavy wind gusts are possible. That's going to clear out into your Thursday, where we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud for most of the day for most of southern and central Ontario. So overnight, tonight, as mentioned, 14 degrees with that increasing cloud. And then for your day tomorrow, we will see the humidex start to rise again, 26. Feeling closer to 31 is what we should expect, and some southwest winds at about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, bringing up that warm air from the United States that I showed you. It's going to warm up slightly as we get closer to your weekend as well. So for your Thursday, those mainly sunny conditions with the high of 26. Friday, Saturday, beautiful sunny conditions here in KW. And as we take a look at the next 7 days through Lambton, Kent, and Essex, fairly dry conditions for your Thursday, rather 28 as your high. Friday, Saturday, gorgeous. Sunday, not too bad. We're just looking at a little bit of precipitation potentially moving through, not a washout of a day. To the north, the next 7 days through southern Georgian Bay, we saw that thunderstorm risk on the radar with a high of 26, feeling closer to 31. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, beautiful conditions to get outside. Well, today's Weather Watcher picture was sent in from Karen, who snapped this shot of the Grand River in Freeport, where the water is looking very inviting.
Yeah, and very clear as well.
It is
gorgeous.
Great shot. Good spot. I have never personally, but I do love to fish. Karis Mapp is our in-house fishing expert, but I know the Grand River is a great spot to do that.
Yeah, it certainly is. I haven't spent much time fishing either, but once or twice I've tried it out.
It's very fun. Anything that keeps you outside.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like there's going to be plenty of opportunity in the long-range forecast to get out. Krista,
yes, there is.
Of course. Well, the province provided an update on the wildfire situation in Ontario this morning. New fires have been reported, but some people in northern communities have been able to return home. CTV's Mike Walker has the latest.
As wildfires continue to rage in northern Ontario, crews on the ground are making progress with help from water bombers and helicopters.
We are making steady progress with fewer fires burning out of control.
There are currently 152 active fires with a dozen deemed out of control. 84 additional fires have been put out over the past week. The Minister of Natural Resources says this is Ontario's worst wildfire season on record, with the largest wildfire ever recorded north of Thunder Bay, the size of 350,000 football fields.
While we're not in the clear here in Ontario yet, we are confident that we have the crews and the aircraft that we need to get the job done.
The province's response shifting towards returning people home. In total, 14 communities have been evacuated. So far, 6 communities have returned.
It's incredibly stressful, and we remain engaged on the ground through text, through phone calls, and the likes to make sure that details as communities come back.
But still, more than 1,100 people remain displaced in host communities across the province.
One community is in the process of returning their members home. Our government is committed to supporting affected communities for as long as needed.
The Ford government has been criticized by some First Nations communities and the opposition for how quickly it responded and ordered evacuations. Today, the NDP repeating calls for a public inquiry.
We need it because we cannot trust this government to take responsibility or accountability, and we clearly, year after year, they do nothing to actually improve the situation on the ground.
In response to inquiry calls,
from an evacuation perspective, obviously we try and give as much warning as we possibly can.
Harris noted that some communities are remote and that there is always an internal review at the end of wildfire season, but did not commit to an inquiry.
One of the things that we really want to press upon communities, if you see fires starting and you're able to evacuate, you should do it. You don't necessarily have to wait for the M&R or the government to come in and say, you better get out.
Given the progress made, the government says some crews assisting from other provinces will soon return home or travel to British Columbia to assist with wildfire efforts there. Mike Walker, CTV News.
And in BC, officials are describing today in the wildfire emergency as explosive fire behavior. In the Okanagan, thousands of evacuees live with constant uncertainty. We're hearing news stories of narrow escapes and now new worry affected businesses won't make it through the winter. CTV's Andrew Johnson has more.
When Joel Patton and his family escaped their home near Summerland, flames that had traveled kilometers in just minutes were already at his back door.
My 5-year-old Chloe, she was tears. She had 3 bags on. I'm saying, hey, honey, Dad's not scared. You're not scared. So we calmly got them out.
But it wasn't until he saw this photo the next morning the worst was confirmed. His home is gone.
We've lost everything in the fire.
4 days later, Patton's safe in Penticton, working to collect donations for his community. The entire district of Summerland and part of Peachland to the north remain evacuated. The fire grew overnight. It's now more than 178 square kilometers. That's double the size of the town. Reduced smoke in the area actually hurt the firefight, allowing more oxygen and heat to get through.
Even last night, without much wind, we were seeing very challenging conditions and quite significant growth in some areas of that wildfire.
As the evacuation drags on, more impacts to the community become clear. Jesse Ritchie's waterfront restaurant is one of many forced to throw out spoiled food.
It's not food safe and it's not legal to serve.
They were able to get into the restaurant to salvage what they could for 1 hour yesterday. Tens of thousands of dollars in meat, seafood, and vegetables had to be tossed out.
Like our staff were in tears. Just the fact that this product is now being wasted and not being consumed and utilized, and we're not able to donate it or do anything with it. That's one of the worst experiences I've faced in 20 years in this industry.
He's worried for the entire town that relies on summer tourism to get through the lean winter.
Unless the government is able to step in and subsidize these small businesses, there's people that aren't going to be able to survive.
An uphill climb for a community whose mayor says, whatever happens, no one will go it alone.
We need to just pull together as the community we are and get through this, and we will. And we'll get through this and we'll be stronger.
Summerland Mayor Doug Holmes also acknowledged no one's going home anytime soon. He said plans are well underway for a staggered return. But until crews can get that fire under control, some 20,000 people will be forced to wait. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Penticton, BC.
Urgent trade talks taking place. Still ahead on CTV News, Canada and U.S. officials meet with the stakes high and the threat of 50% tariffs looming. Urgent trade talks took place in Washington today between Canada and the U.S., the second meeting in less than a week. And the stakes are high with the August 19th deadline and the threat of 50% tariffs looming. CTV's Michael Couture has the latest.
CTV News has learned that both Canadian and American trade representatives are aiming to put the layout of a trade deal in front of U.S. President Donald Trump in the days ahead of that August 19th deadline.
How confident are you about getting a deal, Minister?
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and Canada's lead trade negotiator with the U.S., Janice Charette, had a nearly one-hour meeting with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Tuesday. Now, it's unclear how that meeting went, but last week, industry sources with knowledge of the discussions were cautiously optimistic about the progress that was being made. Proposals are being discussed by both sides, including the removing of Canadian counter tariffs on autos and looking at those provincial bans on American alcohol. Canadian dairy quotas are also on the table. In exchange, the U.S. would agree to lower sectoral tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, autos, and the lumber industry as well. Following today's meeting, Minister Dominic LeBlanc was tight-lipped about how it went.
Minister, how close are we to a deal?
Bonjour. Hello. We know we're not going to discuss those things.
But how confident are you the way that the conversations are going?
Full points for trying. You're outside in the Washington heat in the summer.
I know, but a lot of Canadians are wondering. A lot of Canadians are wondering how close you are.
We'll have something to say when the moment's right.
This was the third face-to-face meeting between LeBlanc and Greer in as many weeks. While it's unclear exactly when they'll sit down together again, LeBlanc's office tells CTV News that Janice Charette is in contact with her American counterparts daily. Mike Couture, CTV News, Washington.
A Windsor baseball player thought his team cap was gone for good after it flew out of a car window onto the 401. Thanks to a remarkable chain of coincidences, the hat made it back to the owner. CTV's Sanjay Maru shows us how a stranger found the cap and tracked down the owner.
Baseball has its share of magical moments, but this one happened off the field. It all starts Saturday when Windsor Stars player Brock Whitson and his parents were heading home from Ottawa. The family was driving along Highway 401 when traffic slowed down and they rolled down the windows.
Brock had his hat sitting on top of his golf clubs near the window, which we didn't realize.
When traffic sped up, the cap flew out. Another driver alerted them, but the family could not stop safely.
Brock said, I just lost my baseball hat that I need for the Nationals that are coming up in New Brunswick in 2 weeks. He was very disappointed.
But what the family did not realize is that a driver traveling behind them had retrieved it, not knowing whose it was. The next day, that man was at the Vollmer complex in LaSalle, where Windsor Stars coach Ron Smith happened to be wearing the same team cap.
And he says, I like your hat. I've got one just like it. He says, and I got a number on the back. I said, what number? He said, 30. Where'd you find it? He said, on the 401.
Only the team's personalized caps have player numbers, and Smith knew number 30 belonged to Whitson. A hat lost near Cambridge, picked up by someone from LaSalle, who then crossed paths with Whitson's coach.
What's the chances? 1 in a million or zillion? I don't know.
The cap carries extra meaning, honoring the team's late PA announcer, and is the same one Whitson wore as the Stars won the Ontario Championship.
That person that took the time to get the hat and return it, and it's just amazing.
The family wants to thank that person, but the coach says he only got his first name, Mike, the man who made the ultimate catch on the 401, ensuring number 30's ball cap made it home safe. Sanjay Maru, CTV News.
Certainly is the chain of coincidences. Talking trade, still ahead on CTV News. The carpentry workshop in Six Nations of the Grand River and how it's helping train a group often underrepresented in trades. A group of high school students are learning carpentry this week in Six Nations of the Grand River. They're gaining a valuable skill that many didn't have before. And as CTV's Colton Weens tells us, instructors say it's also helping train a group that is often underrepresented in the trades.
Xani Miller is learning the ins and outs of carpentry in hopes of one day having a career in the trades.
Yeah, I want to do this, or maybe like being an electrician and stuff. Good money, and then if you break something around the house, you can don't have to pay someone to do it. You can just fix it yourself.
The Hagersville secondary school student going into grade 10 is part of this two-day program at the Skills and Training Center in Six Nations of the Grand River, a partnership between MicroPro Sienna Plus, Six Nations Skills Ontario, and the First Nations Métis Inuit initiatives, helping local First Nations students build practical skills while creating picnic tables for the community.
So we're hopeful that by them getting this hands-on experience, it can open their eyes up to like the different types of trades that they can do, and just gain different skills. Then we'll take your measurement.
Leading the workshop, Mi'kmaq carpenter and content creator Danica Coakley, who says when she was going through training, there weren't a lot of females or Indigenous people like her.
I love seeing all of the kids get excited about it, but I specifically love seeing females only because we are so underrepresented in trades in general as females, but then also as Black, Indigenous, people of color. For them to be able to see me, I really hope they're like, okay, she can do it, I can do it. I was never told, you know, you can't do this, but I also never really felt like anyone told me that I could do it. So I did aesthetics, I did nursing, I did several different careers before essentially making a full circle back to building, which I've always loved.
I just thought of like veterinaries or like work like teachers, like, you know, never just building houses.
Kanisha Hill is an adult participant also learning this week who's been working with kids before this, but says this is more of her calling and it's another opportunity to grow her skills for what she wants to do.
I want to get to the point of being able to build houses.
Now, this is the first day of 2 days working on the benches. On the second day, they'll be staining them, and then they will be donated to the community around Six Nations. Colton Weens, CTV News, Six Nations of the Grand River.
Okay, we have more coming up. First, let's check in with Krista.
Well, Leanne, tonight we have a gorgeous evening ahead of us with dry conditions, but tomorrow things will change. Your wake-up weather is coming up next. Well, we hope you stick around tonight. Coming up, we have E-Talk at 7 o'clock, followed by 3 episodes of The Big Bang Theory, and then The Amazing Race Canada at 9 o'clock, followed by Children Ruin Everything from 10 until 11.
All right, it was another gorgeous day here in Waterloo Region. Crazy to think that we are into the middle of August.
Yes.
I don't know how that happened. Summer flew by like that.
It certainly did, and the temperature is pretty moderate, so it doesn't really feel like August. I guess I think of August and I think of like
the heat wave.
The heat wave, which we had back in July. We're not going to see that for a little bit at least. But tomorrow we are not talking sunny summer day. We are talking thunderstorm risk. So you're going to want to bring your umbrella with you in case you get caught in that, which will start around 8, 9 a.m. and continue until late into the evening.
All right, keep it in mind as you make your way out the door. Finally for us, a Kitchener restaurant marking a major milestone, 70 years in business.
A charcoal steakhouse opened in 1956, and while the menu has evolved, some things have stayed the same.
Here's CTV's Spencer Turcotte on how they're serving their 4th and even 5th generation of customers.
70 years, thousands of steaks, and generations of families, including Charcoal Steakhouse's own executive chef.
My family, we've been coming here since I was a little kid.
Lots has changed since founders Dal and Ortha Weidman first purchased a small 30-seat Kitchener restaurant known as the Charcoal Pit. But much has stayed the same.
Some of our recipes date back, like our Caesar dressing, from the inception of charcoal.
A couple years after opening, the name changed to Charcoal Steakhouse. Then, in '76, moved to its current, bigger location.
I think the number's around 300, 3+ just for upstairs, and then we do have a capacity of over 200 downstairs as well.
As staff reflect on the restaurant's history, it's not just the size and location that evolved.
I remember seeing the library lounge photos from Martini's and seeing the people gathered around a piano and all that, and back in the days of the humidor.
To mark 7 decades as a Waterloo Region staple, the restaurant is bringing back prices from the past.
We have a buy one, get one feature where if you buy a filet, you'll also be getting one for $5. That's our specialty pricing from 1956.
They'll cap the week off with a gala on Saturday in support of the Waterloo Region Health Network. And what started as a singular restaurant has grown into a small empire. The Charcoal Group, which operates a portfolio of restaurants across southern Ontario, something longtime employee Bill Siegfried attributes to consistency.
Anybody can cook a steak at home. Anybody can cook a pizza at home. Anybody can open a beer at home. Anybody can pour a glass of wine at home. So we have to go above that. And people are coming here not obviously for the quality of food, but they're coming here for the overall experience.
Because what started with a goal of serving a good steak has become something rare. 70 years in the restaurant business. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Kitchener.
70 years.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And Spencer's right, no doubt about that. It is a rare accomplishment to be around for 70 years. Of course, the charcoal, a staple in Waterloo Region.
Yes, and especially to have gone through the COVID era. Yeah. Past that too. I live in Brantford, so I love sociable menu, hands down, very creative and delicious.
Yeah, the Charcoal Group has a plethora of wonderful restaurants here locally. And of course, we saw that. You can check them all out and dine around the region.
And hit up the patio because it's a beautiful night.
Yeah, do it before tomorrow rolls in with all that rain.
There you go, exactly.
All right, that's it for us. We'll leave it there. Krista has your next local news tonight at 11:30. Staying up late with you. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a good night.